Like a tested general who never shies away from battle, former President Olusegun Aremo Okikiola Obasanjo has once again attacked President Muhammadu Buhari in another letter made public by the former ruler in his country home, Abeokuta, on Sunday. Obasanjo accused President Buhari of running an autocratic government similar to the administration of the late military dictator, General Sani Abacha. He claimed that President Buhari plans to rig the February presidential election in his favor. He also cast doubts on the ability of INEC to conduct free and fair polls. The All Progressive Congress, APC, is however not bemused. Let's share some of the tantrums with you.
While Nigeria must appreciate Buhari for the little he has done and allow him to depart for home in peace, if he allows free, fair, peaceful, and credible elections, we must also tell ourselves that Nigeria deserves better at this point in time than what Buhari is capable of offering.
We can understand where the former president is coming from. His past is haunting him. He imagines that perhaps the way he did it, remembering, he must have consulted or looked back at the books, of when he was president. 2003 and 2007 elections were nothing to write home about. Those happened under President Obasanjo. So, for us, former President Obasanjo should adjust himself to the reality that he is not God.
Do you think Olusegun Obasanjo has a point here?
Well, we know our nation is not where it ought to be. Security, economy, and power. But whether Obasanjo is morally justified to be saying this to us is a different ball game. Obasanjo played a key part in bringing this government to power. So, has he told Nigerians that he regretted his action? Has he apologized to Nigerians for campaigning for Buhari? He has not done that. What angers him is the fact that he's been neglected, he's been treated like an insignificant person by this administration. And Obasanjo doesn't like that. He wants to be in the spotlight all the time. He wants to be the one advising you all the time, telling you, take this decision, take that decision. That's his nature. And where a government suddenly decides that it's time to shut him out of their day-to-day decision-making, he will turn against you. That was what happened with Jonathan. The president has different avenues through which he can feel the pulse of Nigerians, through which he can know what the problems are. It is not Obasanjo, it's not up to Obasanjo to be doing this, because he is part of the rot. If Obasanjo had solved some of the problems that we have today, including electricity, we won't be in the mess that we found ourselves. He had 8 years. He couldn't fix roads. Look at the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. That is not far away from his country home. He didn't fix it, even the Ota Road. So if he had done all of that, people like Buhari would have had so little to do, to the point that Nigerians will not say that, oh, this president has left so much undone. I don't think that it bodes well for us as a country that a man who cannot call himself a moral giant wants to be seen as the moral compass of our country. I don't think it bodes well for us as a people, because I know clearly why Obasanjo is doing all of this. And he has to be careful. I don't think this administration will afford him some of the things that the Jonathan administration afforded him, because Buhari is not Jonathan. So, and the more he writes these letters, the more they get determined that they must win this next election as a way of sounding Obasanjo's political debt. They would do their best to win the election. It's actually, they don't need any motivation more than what Obasanjo is doing. It's pushing them harder and harder to work harder to win the election so that at the end of the day, they can convince themselves that they are finally buried in politically.
Are we saying, as a former president, are you saying as somebody that, at one point in time, different time in our history, has led this country, that it doesn't have the locus to actually advise the government of the day?
It does. But before I even go to that, President Obasanjo, or former President Obasanjo, in his use of the word autocratic, I think is a misnomer. If he says the Buhari government is lethargic, fine. But to say autocratic, I mean,
Dictator.
the meaning of
Comparing
autocratic
him to Abacha.
and comparing him to Abacha. Now, how many people have been detained or killed under the present government?
It will tell you exactly. It will tell you that Sambo
Yes,
detained
we know.
outside court order.
Yes.
They'll tell you, they'll reel it out for you.
And what about killings?
I don't know about
Are
that.
they as rampant now as during his time?
During his time. So
How many
the
Senate
word
presidents have been
autocratic-
forced out of
Exactly. How many? I mean, we all know that. In fact, people have been saying it since 2015 that the Senate president, Bukola Saraki, if it were to be under Obasanjo, would not
them away.
be Senate president today. But the president has not done well. They've tried, but somehow he has never interfered in the legislative duties to the point of saying he must be removed. So that is that. And the issue of, as a former president and a statesman, I think in Nigeria, we use the word statesman carelessly. Every man that has held one office here and there or has gone to a particular age, we say is a statesman. Who is a statesman? Look, a statesman, the real definition and the work of a statesman is never to come into public to say whatever he wants. I'm a bloody journalist. If I say I want to see the president, nobody will give me the opportunity to see him. But if a former president or a former governor or whatever wants to see the president, with the man with the status of General or former President Olusegun Obasanjo, if he says he wants to see, even without any prior appointment, if he flies to Abuja today and says that he wants to see the president, no matter what, they will give him the chance to see him. So as a statesman, there are some things...
That's what Jonathan said.
Exactly. There are some things that you will say that will eat up the polity. For if the Yoruba says that it is not every cloth that you dry in the sun. Former President Olusegun Obasanjo has he can go in and out of Asoro. He can go in and out of almost any other country in the world, talk less of Nigeria. So what stops him from getting appointments or going to Abuja to tell this man this?
The impasse created by the suspension of the Chief Justice of Nigeria, CJN, has turned the country between towing the path of legal rights or political exigency. The furor generated by the suspension of Justice Walter Onnoghen over allegation of false asset declaration have put different bodies in the judicial arm of government on the edge. The National Judicial Council, that's NJC, has called for an emergency meeting to find a way out of the logjam. Also, the Lawyers Union in the country, that's the Nigerian Bar Association, NBA, has summoned a meeting to discuss how to steer the country away from a constitutional crisis. However, the man in the eye of the storm that suspended Justice Walter Onnoghen is not taking it lying low either. is planning a court action against his suspension. No doubt, the days ahead are pregnant with twists and turns. Now, what is going on? Does Mr. President have the constitutional power to have suspended the Chief Justice of Nigeria?
Well, it's a little convoluted. This matter, when people have made up their minds to take a decision, what they do is they look at the Constitution, and this Constitution of ours has a lot of loopholes that anyone could exploit. And as for whether the president can suspend, the president can suspend because what the law says is that he cannot remove without a recourse to the Senate.
The Constitution is talking about outright removal.
Yes.
Silent on suspension.
Silent on suspension. And
so
that matter, remember, even the famous lawyer, Uzekome, he had used that section 11 of the Interpretation Act, volume 8. He had used it in the past to justify the suspension of Justice Ayo Salami, that the president can suspend. He cannot remove. You know, he used that portion of the law is found in section 11 of the Interpretation Act, Cap 1, 2, 3, volume 8, Laws of the Federation, 2014. He said the president can remove without reference to the Senate. So he capitalized on that enactment to successfully argue that the president could suspend. Now, in the case of, there are people who are comparing what happened between Salami, Justice Salami with this, that, oh, did Jonathan not suspend? There's a difference because it was the NJC that recommended the suspension. You know, the NJC recommended that suspension, accusing Justice Salami of perjury. Then they went immediately, Justice Mustafa became the CJN. He was pricked by conscience because he knew that they lied against Justice Salami. So the first thing he did was to ask that the president restore Justice Salami to his position. And what Jonathan, you may call him clueless, you may call him dumb, but it's not every time that even a person that you see as clueless will just fold his arm and do your wish. So all that Jonathan asked at that time was, what has changed? Put it in writing that this man that you accuse of a very serious offense, which is perjury, put it in writing that you have discovered that he was not guilty of perjury. You have discovered you made a mistake. Okay, admit it. When I see that, I see it in black and white, that this is the reason you want me to now return him to his position, I will gladly do that. They refuse to write because to write will have, they will even destroy themselves. And Justice Salami could then now go to court for wrongful suspension. So to this matter.
Now, Emeka, lawyers are insisting that the president did not follow due process. Do you agree?
Going by the way things have turned out, I agree. I agree because, one, looking at the argument that the speed, between the submission, the time between the submission of the petition to the Code of Conduct Bureau and the commencement of prosecution, or commencement of proceedings, not prosecution, commencement of, well, let's say prosecution at the Code of Conduct Tribunal was so fast, unprecedented, Now, the lead counsel for the CGN, Chief Wole Olanipekun, SN, he actually presented an argument that the CCT lacked the jurisdiction to entertain the matter. So they are still at the process of, determining jurisdiction and all that. okay, fine, you saw there was an order from the National Industrial Court, there was another order from the Federal High Court, but of course, there was the argument that the CCT and those courts are of coordinate jurisdiction. Then, but there was a matter at the appeal court. Now, from that point, an expert, suddenly, it emerged that there was an ex parte order from the CCT. But it appeared as if maybe the executive second-guessed the Court of Appeal and then rushed to get that ex parte order, by way of an urgent motion. But again, there's a question that, okay, no lawyer appended his name to that ex parte motion. Now, there's also the question that the order said the CJN should step aside. He didn't say the president should remove or should suspend the CJN. Now, the CJN whom you ask to step aside, is the president now resorting to self-help, or is the CJN incapable of stepping aside that the president now had to move to suspend him and then appoint an acting CJN? So those are the issues that are coming up. Now, you see, okay, as of yesterday, it emerged again that motion ex parte came a day before the decision of the Court of Appeal. That's what I'm talking about, second guessing. As if, okay, the federal government felt, oh, the Court of Appeal might not, might not toe our line. So let's move very fast. But you see, for me, I believe justice will always be served if the due process is followed. If you are fighting corruption, you should also, be seen to be trying to enthrone justice. We should not enthrone the mob culture or encourage the lynch mob. Why? Because it's one person today. It could be another person tomorrow. And then again, the politicization of this matter is a very, very sad angle to it. Because you see all kinds of things now. Imagine, APC issuing a statement talking about election tribunals. And then
saying that they are suspending
campaign.
So all these things.
Well, Babajide, what should the president have done?
Honestly, I would have loved the president to work through the NJC to ensure that the NJC got the chief judge to step aside. But the chief judge, the CJN, Chief Justice of Nigeria, did not help matters. Because when he stopped the meeting of the NJC, and he adjourned the meeting indefinitely, that sounds to me like brinksmanship. You are trying your best to stop your trial. You understand? If I were the president, I would have walked through the NJC to ensure that, look, you are a leader, you are the CJN, but you can't remain in this position while your trial is on. You step aside so that nothing will impede your trial.
But as you said earlier,
But the president, because he did not, the NJC that should have taken that decision, he didn't allow them to meet. So at the end of the day, he literally forced the president
resorted to self-help.
Yes, he forced the president to take the action that he has taken. Because somehow this issue has to be resolved. About 2 weeks ago when they asked me here what I thought would happen at the end, the CCT, I said I do not see the CCT convict the CJN. Because when you follow the earlier pattern, you see that all those judges that they found money in their houses and all that, they've all won those cases. So for the prosecution is extremely frustrating. So you ask yourself, and then you are in this situation, on one hand, you should have stepped aside. As my friend G.T. Ogunye has now suggested, he should have stepped aside so that his case can be tried, handled speedily.
Some people will say it's so un-Nigerian
for
anybody stepping aside.
But he didn't receive that expertise.
We've seen, no, the moment
you are talking
that you are going to be tried.
The moral side of it.
Yes, because it's important. The moral side is important. The moment it came to light that you are going to face trial, the ideal thing, because for the sanctity of that position, or CJN to be protected, the ideal thing would have been to say, gentlemen, I step aside. I'm confident that I'll win this case. Okay, I'm stepping aside. Let the case go on. But we didn't see that. He did not even appear in court, and he stopped the sitting of the decision-making body that could have decided his fate. So if you are saying the president should have waited for agency, for me, I think that's right. But he did not, he left the president without an option by not allowing the agency to even sit for us to even know the decision that the agency will make.
No,
Emeka,
but you know there is something.
I wanted to ask you,
Okay,
what are those options left for Onohen right now?
Well, it's personal to him, but I wanted to say something, that this thing that wasn't declared in 2012, that you didn't declare in 2012, he was said to have declared it in 2016. Now, when you put that side by side with the proviso that says that where a public officer admits that there was a breach, you know, there shall be no recourse to the Code of Conduct Tribunal. I mean, could it be that then His Lordship Justice Onogen was well within his rights to say this trial is unfair, is a miscarriage of justice, and it is not, and I have to, my lawyers will fight it out.
No, that's one leg of it. That is one leg of it. Now you see the thing, you see, I've seen that portion. That portion is, let me read it, is Code of Conduct Bureau and Tribunal Act under functions of the CCB, Cap C15. B of the laws of the Federation of Nigeria, 3D. It says, provided that where the person concerned makes a written admission of such breach or non-compliance, no reference to the tribunal shall be necessary. Shall be necessary. Yes, on the, hold on. It's there.
Yes.
But where the CGN said that he thought that because when you become CGN in substantive capacity, you must declare. For him to now say that he thought that the declaration that he made
16.
as an acting CJN will suffice. It's like saying, oh, I wasn't aware of the law. Of course, ignorance can never be an alibi.
Men, don't create crisis for us in Ogun State, and the police too. I noticed that you are using tear gas. Please don't try it. Any moment from now, we are going to allow our people, because they are outside, and we don't want President Muhammadu Buhari and his entire team to think the good people of Ogun State are not with him. So, to all of you, I have told everybody, we are going to open the gates. We are going to allow them. People are outside. We don't want stampede. We are going to allow them. We are Ogun State. We will allow them. They will go around. We are here for continuity. The progress must continue. No going back. Jimmy, let's go. Jimmy, let's be on the way. Oh yeah, come on there.
The governor of Ogun State didn't cover himself in glory. He didn't cover himself in glory on the day. There is a video that has gone viral of Governor Ibikunle Amosun supervising the destruction of posters, of Dapo Abiodun's posters at the stadium. And you see him even telling them to hasten up. Destroying, they packed those little billboards and posters and We are just dumping them outside there and destroying them. Now, the impression that he wants to give to the president is, look, I'm loyal. This party, where I'm sponsoring my boy as the gubernatorial candidate, is your party. Is another version of APC. You know, like PlayStation, you have PlayStation 1 up to 4 now. It's like APC 2. That's the impression that he wanted to give. So he made sure that the supporters of his second party dominated the stadium. They beat up supporters of Abiodun. Once they saw you wearing that dress like yellow, they brought this, what carpenters call 2x2, that plank, that piece of plank. They were using it to beat people, they injure people, they chased them out of the stadium. They now dominated the stadium. And that was what afforded them the chance to embarrass the president in the manner they did. If they didn't want anything, if the president did it, they would respond in a wave. No, and the noise will be deafening. It's because they dominated the stadium in terms of their population. That was what the governor designed. That was what he wanted. And remember, even when the policemen kept them outside the stadium, because the rally was for the APC. It wasn't for APM. No, but they completely hijacked the rally. It was the APC officials that even paid for the venue. I mean, paid for the telecast. But at the end of the day, they succeeded in chasing those people away. And you saw the governor, you saw the role he played. When they locked them out, he was the one who said they should open the gate for those guys. And as soon as they got into the arena, they began to misbehave. And what, you see, when people blame the president, I blame the president because what the president did was wrong. You cannot go to a place, raise up someone's hand, and then in the same breath say that they can vote for anyone that they like. For those who defend the president over even absurdities, there's just no way to defend this. It's only in Imo State and Ogun State that he has done that. Why didn't he go to Bauchi and tell the people to vote for anybody? It was an APC rally. So you should be campaigning for APC candidates.
For me, I think I would blame the president fully for what happened. Not only for what happened on that day, but what happened before the day, because he was responsible for giving the signal that there was confusion. I mean, he received APM in Aso Rock.
And they did the eight fingers.
And they did the 8 fingers and all that. So the impression they have is that with the governor, we have a cover, the president is also for us. So that emboldened them to come to the stadium to welcome their grandfather, their patron, as it was. And as a result of that, you had the APC.
That's the picture showing on the screen.
APM. Yes. You had the clash here and there. And it's been so throughout the campaign. Everywhere Dr. Abiodun went in the stronghold of Governor Ibikunle Amosun, they were attacked.
The National Working Committee, NWC, of the All Progressives Congress, APC, has suspended Governor Ibikunle Amosun of Ogun State and his Imo State counterpart, Rochas Okorocha, from the party. The NWC also recommended their expulsion from the party to the National Executive Committee, that's the neck of the party. The decisions were taken at the NWC meeting this Friday in Abuja, where allegations of anti-party activities were leveled against them. Jide, the Ides are here.
Yes, so on the first day of March. That means March could be a potentially slippery month.
Slippery.
Yes, to be all the quite slippery. So, but this should have come a long time ago.
Okay, you saw this coming?
No, the party should have sanctioned both men a long time ago. See, we do so many things based on sentiments. The party has rules. You cannot promote another party while still in the APC. So, and both of them significantly are even holding on to APC tickets. And they contested, or were holding on to APC tickets, and they contested the senatorial election last Saturday. Both men won. In the case of Okorocha, he promised that he would deliver Imo to the president. He didn't deliver Imo to the president, but the president got
But do you know you can
25%.
interrogate that a lot more, some further. Is it 25% of the total votes cast or majority of the votes?
He said he would deliver the states to him that we are in charge here, will deliver the state. He didn't deliver the state. Amosun delivered the state with a wide margin. But
against the odds?
Against no. You see, there are many variables that made that to happen. Don't forget that the PDP too had their own crisis. If the party leadership was complaining about Amosun's conduct, you as the leader of the party, as the president, your actions, your body language must support the stance of the party leadership. But by opening your doors to Amosun repeatedly, as the president was doing, you know, it angered quite a lot of people. But now, the president has secured Amosun's support. The president really doesn't need him to win a second term anymore.
That's it.
Now, anybody can take that decision. The president is now at risk of not winning Ogun, or of not getting 25% or winning Imo. So the president now will not get involved in any punishment that will be meted to both men.
Charles, you know, politicians in this country, I don't know about other places, tend to give permanent solutions to temporary problems. And see, in the case of Ogun State, how can you be inside and peeing inside?
And you're raising two flags. But let me disagree with Judith. I said that the decision should have been taken earlier than now. I think this decision that has been taken now, for me, is a master stroke. And I'll tell you why. And he also alluded to the fact that these two men are very powerful and also very, very strong in the states that they had sway in. For instance, if they had suspended Amosu then was like a bull in a china shop. You could lose the bull, not killing the bull, and you also lose your china wares. So, which was why I thought that, even though initially I thought APC should have acted swiftly and earlier, but with what I just panned out, I mean, what you are just seeing now, I see it, for me, it's like a master stroke. Because if you have done that, if you had suspended Okorocha and you suspended Amosu, the days preceding the election,
the apple cart would have been.
Honestly, exactly. So they could have done a great damage to the party's fortune. The president didn't win Imo, it's irrespective of that, but they could have done damage to the fortunes of the president at the polls, which is why I said that it's a master stroke.
So they should have taken that risk at the time.
So why do you think that the party waited till now?
No, they didn't wait. Let me tell you, there was no plan. There was no plan.
Nobody.
There was no plan.
Hold on. Nobody must win this debate.
If the results of what's the outcome of last week's presidential and National Assembly election is anything to go by, would that in any way change the equation or rub off, or would there be what we call a bandwagon effect in Kano State, Babajide?
There's always bandwagon effect in most elections, but the dynamics will change as far as the governorship elections that we'll have on Saturday are concerned. For example, amongst Kwankwaso supporters, many of them did not want, from the beginning, did not want to vote for Atiku.
Kwankwaso supporters?
Yes, many of them did not want to vote for Atiku. The commitment of most of them is the governorship contest. They didn't, so a lot of them voted for Buhari. They didn't want Atiku.
the presidential election might be a different ball game from this.
Completely. And we have seen it in the past. When immediately Buhari lost the election in 2011, the people were so disappointed, they were not interested in the governorship. They set ablaze their voter cards. So to think that, oh, because people voted for Buhari that time, no, it's not like that. I'm telling you that Kwankwasia members, many of them refused to vote for Atiku because, as far as they are concerned, if they had to make a choice between Atiku and Buhari, it has to be Buhari. And for many of them, it is the governorship that is the main issue. Because they don't like the governor. Their leader does not like the governor. So their big battle, the battle that they are looking forward to, is the battle for Kano. That's the battle with Ganduje. Enugu is a one-party state. Remember, I came back from Enugu and I said that last year, that even if the Deputy Senate President decided at that time to join the APC, he will not be re-elected because it's a one-party state.
It's a no-go area for APC.
That is a fact. That election underlined that fact. Buhari didn't get 25%
there.
Yes. And in this election, the governorship election,
that's between Ayogueze and the incumbents.
It will be a rout. It will be a rout.
Ayogueze and
the
governor Ogwani.
Yes, it will be a rout. That's my prediction. So Enugu, for me, is very easy. In fact, it's easier for the PDP to win in Katsina than for the APC to win in Enugu State.
Ebonyi State is another one-party state.
But now the APC is doing well there, and people expect a close contest. People expect a close contest.
One seat that governor?
The governor should still have an edge in the final analysis. I will still give the governor a slight edge, no matter what happens. Professor
Ayade is waxing strong, and it has always been a PDP state. Yeah. From 1999, from the time of, what's our presidential aspirant name? Donald Duke. From Donald Duke to Uncle Liel Imoke, from Liel now to Professor Ben Ayade. And so it's like a natural enclave for the People's Democratic Party.
I believe so. It's a PDP state. And it shows, even by elections that were held last year, PDP won. So it's a PDP state, just like Taraba. So I expect the governor to return. Although APC has really worked hard in that state in the last, but they are also not helped by the infighting. You see, their candidate and Uguru, going to court, this and that. Uguru at the last minute lost the battle. Who knows? And Uguru has even been suspended. So it's likely to tell his supporters to go and vote for the rival party.
So the next state is Akwa Ibom. Uncommon defector, uncommon senator.
Akwa Ibom is godfather to both of them. Sima Ikiri and Udom. They both served on his cabinet. The truth is, Akwa Ibom is PDP. I said it here before. They can play back where I said it. That Akwa Ibom's impact is exaggerated. And that election proved it. Out of 10 local governments, Akwa Ibom lost 8. Akwa Ibom, the PDP will win in Akwa Ibom. Maybe the APC will do better than they did in the presidential.
In terms of figure?
Benue,
Governor Otom, giving it a shot again?
Yes, Governor Otom is seeking re-election, and
he has retired.
I'm confident that he will be re-elected. I've heard people say all sorts that, oh, this is the time that Akume will stop him. Since he stopped Akume, Akume will stop him too from being re-elected. If an incumbent governor was so strong enough as to defeat his own godfather, and not only was his godfather defeated, his godfather was defeated by a wide margin. His godfather won only one local government in the entire senatorial zone. So people don't put all of these things together. because they are just about emotions. No, politics is not simply about emotions. This man will win the election in Benue State. It's not about emotions. We may not like him as an individual, we may not like his methods, but if the people want his methods, if his people want to continue with him, so be it. That's the beauty of democracy.
I think some people in Benue State are not happy with the PMB-led administration.
Yes, and they are also not happy with the way Akume appeared to
want to be
throw his own people under the bus.
Yes.
Because there was an incident where he claimed that Benue people were responsible for the killing
of
those
clerics.
A lot of people are not happy about that. They are not happy about that. And I warned on this program that he shouldn't have spoken like that because it could backfire. Let him go back and play what I said on that day. That it could backfire, it could get the people to vote against him. And that's what has happened. So I project that Governor Tom will be re-elected, no matter how slim the margin.
Are the factors that will be playing out on Saturday?
Borno State is a one-party state. What we should be talking about now is the margin by which the APC will win the election in Borno State.
One-party state?
It's a one-party state. It's almost completely a one-party state. PDP has no presence in that state. And what they usually do, you don't even hear about the PDP until election time. They will go and stay in Abuja. When the election time comes, then they will crawl out of the woodworks and say they want to contest. Contest what? It's a one-party state. It is the margin of the victory that we should be speculating over, because that one is going to be a walk in the park for Professor Zulum. The winner has already emerged before the election.
Just as you said,
the winner has emerged before the election.
Of course, in Borno State, there's virtually no contest, because in the last election, the APC won with 836,496, and PDP had only 71,788. So now, and as we say, every election is local. If the presidential, which you can say is far away, if the president, who you can say is far away from them, is in Abuja, can get 836,000, what about the governorship? In Borno State, there is no contest. In fact, the governorship candidate is governor-elect already.
Congratulations, Professor Babagana Umar Zulum.
Till Saturday, Julian.
We are waiting for... I'm waiting for the inauguration because he has won. Former National Secretary of the APC, May Malabuni.
Okay, Malabuni.
He will be coming in. I'm congratulating him in advance.
That one...
The case is just like
his case is like
Borno State.
There is no need for a contest. Ideally, INEC should just go and give him a certificate of return. Because May Malabuni has won the election. Before even the whistle is blown for the contest to start, the APC has won the race in Yobe State. It's a straightforward
I mean, the PDP in that state had just about 50-something thousand, whereas the APC had 497. Okay. So what magic will there be to make...
Let's just... that's another walkover.
Yes.
Where the APC fails to manage the distrust, the disharmony, the rancor that arose from its primaries, we have this kind of problems. Now, it has taken someone like Jagaban, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, to go back to reconcile all the aggrieved parties, including Akala. Then with Akala coming back on board, depending on whether the people will listen to him. If the people follow Akala the way they've always done, then you can say that Ogbomoso's 5 local governments are firmly in the bag. I believe that Seyi Makinde would win Ibadan. I believe, given what's on ground. But it will need more than simply to win Ibadan to be declared winner. It's a potentially tough battle that is ahead. So, but the two parties, or the two dominant parties, the two dominant parties will have to work on Okeogun. And Ogbomoso, Okeogun, those 15 local government between those two zones. The biggest battle, or the biggest battles will be in Ogun Central. Because, yes, Amosun is from that area. But APC got its largest votes in this last election from Abeokuta South, Abeokuta South, which is part of Ogun Central. The leaders of the APC, they are not watching. They will do their best to stop Amosun. Yes, it's going to be a close race, no doubt about it. But the wave of endorsements coming that Abiodun's way, will suggest that he would probably win the election. In
a situation whereby you're a senator, both are senators representing APC. One is floating APM for their godson, and another one is floating Action Alliance in Imo State. Very complex situation.
No, it's complex and it's abhorrent. That is not what should be happening. And if the two governors get away with this, it will look to me like triumph of party indiscipline. And others who join them will probably do worse things against their party. So if they fail to install their godsons, then maybe others will think twice that, look, when we break away from party lines, then the party will come together to resist us, crush us, and then we'll lose. So it's one reason everyone, all the stakeholders are fighting. The leaders of the APC, they are not watching. They will do their best to stop Amosun.
When the dog and the leopard engage in hunting expedition, it is very likely that one of them may get hurt. At a trying time like this in Nigeria, when security agencies are expected to work in accord, we are witnessing something in the contrary. Some police officers lost their lives when some soldiers from the 93 Battalion of the Nigerian Army, Takum, Taraba State, opened fire on them. The police operatives from the Intelligence Response Team, IRT, were said to be returning from a covert operation when the soldiers attacked them on the Ibi-Jalingo Road. The three police operatives, reputed to be some of the finest in the IRT, and a civilian died in the attack, while the notorious kidnap kingpin, the arrested Alhaji Amisu, was released and is now on the run. The Inspector General of Police, Muhammadu Adamu, has ordered full investigation into the circumstances surrounding the unfortunate incident. That man was handcuffed, leg and with hand, he was manacled, and after killing the police operatives, that man was allowed to walk away.
No, there's no doubt, even from the small clip we just watched, that the soldiers were at fault. No doubt about that. Whoever is issuing a counter statement, that person doesn't know.
Is this an issue of conspiracy or what? Wait. How come that individual?
No, it's not just.
Does not sustain any injury and he walked away.
What happened there, from the little we have seen, is that it appears as if some people told the soldiers, look, that guy is being taken away, make sure he doesn't go, and that's what you have seen happening there. To me, that is what has been happening all over. It is not just a question of
make sure they don't take him away.
Exactly, in some individuals, because if the proper thing is done, by the time you are arrested, it's not just a question of charging them to court. Who are the people they've been interacting with? Who are the people providing logistics for them? You discover they are not just civilians. You find some of them in security circles.
It's a very sorry tale. It's a terrible story. I mean, we've just watched the clips, and it looked more like scene out of a war zone. I mean, you saw the vehicle turned upside down, and you wonder if it was just mass shooting. The impression I come away with is that there was a terrible fight, as it were, and my condolences really go to the families, of those who have lost people. But having said that, just like Wale said, there are many more questions than answers. I mean, it's more like, I've listened to, Frank Mba, tell his own side of the story. I didn't expect anything less. Even within our military, there are criminals. And in the course of preparing for this program, I went back, tried to do some research. We have had cases of soldiers involved in banditry, involved in armed robbery. The most recent case, you remember, the few who were said to be escorting millions, to somewhere, and they absconded. As we speak, those guys are nowhere to be found. Earlier in the year, some 4 soldiers, same Borno State, they were active players within the Lafia Dole, that's what I believe it's called. 4 of them, they were serving there, and they were caught for alleged armed robbery.
I know something is missing somewhere.
I think the whole world is watching Nigerian security apparatus with a lot of excruciating pains. This is nonsensical. This is absurd. This is completely, in fact, what I would describe as a balderdash. You were exchanging. In fact, there was no question at all. How could someone who was handcuffed be spared of the bullets? Because if you were shooting, that means you were conscious of the target. This is very sad. There was this is a text on the insurgency. In fact, the battle against insurgency in Nigeria. That shows that for Nigerians to be at alert, that the war against Boko Haram, banditry, and all that, there is no synergy as far as the security apparatus in Nigeria.